What's up, y'all? This is On Point with Miss Britt, and this week we are going to discuss the Elite Eight games, and of course, we're going to start off with the most anticipated game everybody's been, looking for, the rematch between Iowa and LSU. So this was the highest watched women's basketball game ever with 12.3 million views. So they topped the national championship game last year, which I didn't expect nothing less, and it delivered. It delivered. So let's get into it. So Caitlin Clark, she dropped 41 points. She came out of the gate hot with that first three-pointer. And Angel, she still had a double-double with 17 points. And everybody is talking about Hailey Van Lith, how she couldn't guard Caitlin. But y'all, if you actually been watching women's basketball, the same thing happened last year with Hailey Van Lith. When she played for Louisville, she was guarding Caitlin, and Caitlin dropped 41 points. But the difference is Hailey Van Lith, last year, she dropped 27. This year, she only dropped 9 points. I don't know what happened to her, but I've been saying this all year that I felt like she didn't fit in with LSU. Like, she was an absolute dog at Louisville. Like, she led them to the Elite Eight last year. And this year, ever since she joined, LSU, she hasn't been the same. So I don't know, what's been going on. I don't know if she fits in with the system. And then people are complaining, why didn't they have Flau'jae on Caitlin? Well, for one, Hailey is the point guard. Caitlin is the point guard. So, basic basketball, you're going to have the point guard on there. I think the mistake was they should have doubled Caitlin. They should have put Flau'jae and Hailey on Caitlin. And then also they should have gave Angel the ball more, because every time Stokey was guarding Angel, Angel was bullying her. Like, I would have threw the ball immediately to Angel every time Stokey was guarding her. Now, when Iowa switched it up, because Stokey got into foul trouble, and they put O'Grady on her, then we had a game. And then on top of that, you got to think Angel re-injured her ankle before the half, because she already had injured her ankle during the SEC championship game against South Carolina, and she re-injured it. So, that was a little thing that held them back. And also, last game for LSU, Flau'jae in the Sweet 16, Flau'jae had 24 points. So y'all should have been feeding her the ball too, because this game, she scored 23 points. So they should have been feeding Flau'jae the ball as well. I don't know what happened to Anissa Morrow. She's usually a shooter. Michaela Williams, usually a shooter. But the thing is, if LSU would have doubled Caitlin, that would have left Kate Martin open for Iowa. Kate Martin is a shooter. She ended up having 21 points that game. So, regardless with that game, Iowa was the better team. That's just it. They just was the better team that day, and they ended up winning 94-87. So, yes, it was bad coaching. Kim didn't do the necessary adjustments, but Iowa came in with a game plan, and they executed it better, and that's just it. And also, I know people were talking about that last call that they made on Angel, which, she ended up fouling out. They called a charge. To be honest, that didn't make or break the game at all. If she was in the game or not, Iowa was on a roll. I think that call was petty. I think they should have let her stay in. This is like the biggest game of the year. They should have let her stay in. It was kind of petty, but it didn't really make or break the game, in my opinion. So now, moving on, that was exciting. Iowa moves on to the Final Four. Next game, we had UConn versus USC. And that was right after the Iowa LSU game. So, we already all hyped up and stuff. So let me just say that Paige Bueckers is back. Remember last year, she had torn her ACL and she was out for the entire year. She's been struggling with injuries. At the beginning of this year, she had a knee injury. And UConn's been struggling with injuries, period. I didn't even think they was going to have a team, let alone make it this far. But Paige had 28 points. And UConn reaches their 23rd Final Four. So I would say the difference between them and USC is experience, because USC, I want to say they ain't made it to the Elite Eight in like 20 plus years. They were just talking about that. So I think it was experience. Gino knows what he's doing. He knows how to handle, tough situations, how to prepare for big moments. And now that Paige is healthy, it really helped them. And then Aaliyah Edwards, she came through with 24 points. And then, shout out to freshman Juju Watkins at USC. This was her first time on a big stage like this. And she had 29 points. So, she did what she could do for her team. She was visibly upset after the game, but I mean, she's a freshman, so that's understandable. She definitely got next. She's going to come back next year stronger. And they're going to have like a better season team next year. So I can see them, going farther next year. Hopefully they make it to the Final Four. So UConn ended up beating USC 80-73. So that was a really exciting game. Now let's get to the games the day before that everybody seems to be sleeping on. Like we got other teams on the other side. I know everybody was hyped for the Monday games, but we had South Carolina versus Oregon State, and South Carolina dominated. They won 70-58. They pretty much been dominating the entire tournament except for against Indiana, when Indiana came back and, threatened their hopes of making it to the Elite Eight. So I think that was their biggest challenge so far. So, South Carolina, they the team to beat for real. So this is their second consecutive year making it to the Final Four undefeated, and they've made it to the Final Four 4 straight years. We had South Carolina's Tessa Johnson. She scored 15 points, and Camila Cardoso, she added 12 points. And then we had Oregon State's Reagan Beer. She had 16 points. So once again, South Carolina, they are on a roll. We'll see who can match up with them. And then the next game we had was NC State versus Texas. And child, this started off a hot mess. First of all, the court had mismatched 3-point lines, and I'm just like, that would never happen in the men's tournament. Like, get it together. Like, that is just so tacky. And both sides agreed to play on the court. I mean, they didn't want to postpone the game. There was really nothing they could do about it, but that's just tacky to me. Like, come on, y'all got to do better. So Isaiah James, she had a career high 7 3-pointers and scored 27 points to lead NC State to a win over Texas, 76-66. And this is their first trip to the Final Four of the women's tournament since 1998. And they said that if Texas would have won, that would have been their first time since 2003. So both teams had something on the line. And I feel like NC State right now is a sleeper. Nobody has really been paying attention to them, but they've been balling. That's a team that we got to look out for. And then Texas freshman Madison Booker, she was also the Big 12 Player of the Year. She had 17 points. So Texas, they didn't make it, but they have a young team, and that's also a team that we got to start looking out for. That freshman, she's also as good as Juju Watkins. She just doesn't get a lot of coverage. Madison Booker, look out for her. Okay, so now let's just move on to my Final Four thoughts. So South Carolina versus NC State. Obviously, South Carolina is the favorite. It's going to be hard to get past them. They got Cardoso out there. I mean, they got some shooters. Bree Hall, Malaysia Fu-Wiley, Raven Johnson, Tahina Pow. So, I mean, it's going to be hard for NC State to match up with them. We will see what happens. I'm not going to just give it to South Carolina automatically. We'll see what their game plan is, because they do got to shut down Isaiah James. And then Iowa versus UConn. UConn has that experience. They're going to give Iowa some trouble. But I just feel like this might be Iowa's year. Like, they are really on the roll. They are really determined. I feel like this might be Iowa's year. UConn. I would say the difference maker that might make or break is the injuries that have been plaguing UConn. They've been really, they only got a certain amount of players. People can't get rest. So I would say that might be a difference maker. But the experience that will catapult UConn over Iowa, that could help them as well. So we'll see. I think Iowa might have a chance to win. I think they're just on a different road right now. Like, they just are determined to get back to the ship. And honestly, I want to see a rematch between South Carolina and Iowa in the ship. I'm sorry, that's what I want to see. No disrespect to NC State or UConn. But those are my final thoughts. Let me know who y'all think is going to make it to the ship and who y'all want to see. And why don't you go ahead and follow my YouTube and my Instagram at on_point sports 614, and make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm out.